Fuck.
Football and F-ball.
All right, I guess we're just gonna wait for people now. We can
All right, I'm gonna
continue the
tweet this link
conversation.
out now.
Waiting for a few people to come on in.
Did you guys see Stacey Gage got crystal balled to UCF today?
What?
Yeah, on three. I think it was on three.
On 3? Seriously? What in the world?
I believe so.
Stacey
I did
Gage?
see that earlier today, which would be crazy because at one point that guy was the best running back in the country.
Did you guys know that the Sooners play a softball game tomorrow in the Champ Series?
They
Yep.
do. Is it 7 o'clock Central?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the number one thing viewed on television tomorrow.
Speaking of that, I guess we could talk about that. I mean, Stanford Kennedy, she pitched well.
She good. She good.
Future Sooner.
Future Sooner, yeah. Yeah. No, it was pretty impressive going to extra innings. Jordy Ball is
She good. She gooder.
she's the best pitcher in all of softball.
I don't get.
Team.
Can you guys update me? So, I stopped watching like when Oklahoma. It was pretty convincing. Like it didn't seem like there was really a chance for the other team to make a run.
Which game are you talking about?
The softball game.
I know which softball game.
Oh, this
Tennessee? Stanford?
Oh, Tennessee.
The Tennessee. Oh yeah.
Okay.
The Tennessee game was the only one that we
Were
we
people
routed somebody.
shitting on the team or on a specific player? I stopped watching.
The coach for Tennessee, I remember getting shit on, and she even explained it herself during like they did like a little short interview. I think it was in the fourth inning or whatever. She sat her two aces in that game against Oklahoma and threw a freshman, which was interesting to say the least. And the result was what the result was. OU kind of teed off on her, and I forget exactly how she defended it or what her explanation was, but. Yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, she definitely got a little bit of slack for that. And, I think in hindsight, if she could do it all over again, I don't think she would make that same decision because the two girls she sat, I'm pretty sure were like in the 1 ERA or just,
They were both really good. They were like starters for their.
And it really doesn't make sense to sit them in a situation like that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So. Anyway,
shout out Spooner from SoCal.
Yeah. Oh, and Keaton saying this staff can't recruit people. I'm ready for it. Yeah. But anyway, going against Florida State, it's going to be quite a series, quite a battle.
I mean, they did take one from us a couple years ago. It's a rematch, and imagine Kat Sanerkoff will be throwing for them again.
Yeah.
Should be fun.
Yeah. Which I feel like she's been there forever.
She's Perry Ellising it.
Perry Ellising. Yeah. So now some people are trickling in right now, just kind of an unplanned live stream. And for everyone that's joining, we're going to start doing a regularly scheduled live stream every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central. So this is going to be a part of the lineup. And instead of releasing a video on Wednesday, this will replace the video and go live stream on Tuesdays. So just putting that out there so everyone can start to remember that we will be going live. So softball, again, tomorrow evening. It's going to be a good game. Oklahoma, hopefully, will take care of business game 1. So I guess we can just start to talk about the elephants in the room. And we'll just start with Bryant Wesco. Obviously, 2024 5-star wide receiver. Ended up taking an official visit to Clemson this past weekend. Went out there and then committed today to Clemson. And Oklahoma at one point was, the perceived leader in this recruitment, but was never officially public that he had a scheduled official visit to Oklahoma. So something seemed off. And in hindsight, I'm not going to sit here and act like I knew this or not. but that definitely seemed odd. And when odd things happen, more times than not, something's going on. Brandon, what do you think about Wesco? Obviously, it's less than ideal.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it is what it is. I remember I got on a live stream 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were talking about who's going to commit first, Zion Kearney or Bryant Wesco, and you guys said that Zion Kearney was bad and Bryant Wesco was good.
Whoa! No, we didn't.
And I heard that you're saying Zion Kearney was elite. Crazy, but yeah. So obviously, it sucks. It is what it is. And we talked about it before we started recording. I don't think that it's the staff being unable to recruit or anything like that, or it is whatever. But it is a little bit concerning, as we talked about before we started recording. It could be just to almost consistently be in the lead, if you will, from everything we're reading and looking at and seeing, and feeling comfortable, and then just never. I mean, not locking it up, at least right now. They're not closing these leads. They're not finishing. And I go back to what we talked about months ago, what Danny Okoye alluded to as an actual prospect that we had on the program. Being 6-7 last year hurt Oklahoma. And at the end of the day, if you put yourself in these prospects' shoes, these 17, 18-year-old kids trying to make up their minds where they're going to play the next 3 or 4 years, Oklahoma, as much as we love it, that program, and as much as we know they are going to turn around and be good, I have no doubt still. But if you are a 17, 18-year-old kid who does not have a prior fandom of this university, who is not linked to this university like we are, who does not really have a dog in the fight here, all they can see is a team that just went 6-7 with a guy who is not yet proven as a head coach, when you can go visit schools like Clemson, who's obviously very proven, Ohio State, very proven, Alabama, Georgia. We're competing against these dogs who are proven winners. And unfortunately, for right now, at this moment in time, Brent Venables is not that as a head coach. He's a proven winner as a defensive coordinator at Clemson. Great success. And he's going to do the same thing at Oklahoma. It's a matter of time. But right now, for these kids who don't know anything about Oklahoma, who are not prior fans like we are, all they're seeing is a guy who went 6-7, who's still in year 2. I think they want to start to see. I think they want to see us start hitting some wins and stuff. I think it's hurting us.
I agree. And Mike Hawk said that Danny's crystal ball to Georgia, it's not Danny Okoye, it's Joseph Jonah Ajone. And I don't remember if he was actually crystal balled or if reporters were just saying he's starting to trend after his visit to Georgia. But this is kind of a post-visit high situation. You gotta, and it happens every year, happens with most recruits. With Wesco and Brown, I agree 100% with what you said, Brandon. There's a point where you can't just keep telling these kids, go out and take other visits. Like, you kind of got to push a little bit to get that commitment, because they're not going to just, unless they're super bought in, like you mentioned, and already fans of the program from before, they're not just going to give that commitment up, especially now with how big recruiting has gotten as a spectacle for fans to follow. They might be taking their time a little bit more, which is smart, because of now there's NIL on the line as well. So the more this builds up, the more it pays out for them. What I hope that we start hearing maybe in the next few months is that Oklahoma is not giving up on those guys that did commit to Clemson, because that's where I would, as a fan of Oklahoma, that's where I would start questioning Brent Venables a little bit. I get not wanting to seal their recruits right after moving, but you had no problem doing it to Notre Dame when they have a very similar policy to Oklahoma and Clemson, where you commit, you don't take any official visits while committed. Do the same. Do what you did for Peyton Bowen. Do the same thing for Sammy Brown and or Bryant Wesco. Those were guys that you felt you had a shot in. For Wesco, many believed you led in forever, basically. Why not keep pushing for them? And it doesn't have to be an immediate thing, but if you feel like you can still have a shot and those doors are open, the fact that they're at Clemson shouldn't deter this staff. And I hope that's not the case, but it wouldn't surprise me if it is, because of not wanting to take talent from his old employer. But it doesn't matter at this point, in my eyes. The good thing for you
I don't think it matters. No.
The good thing is that they're still in good spots for other players. The linebacker position, I think, is the most worrisome recruiting wise this cycle. You miss out on Peyton Pierce, who you were supposed to be in the lead in for a long time. You haven't really heard much about Braden Platt. I know we're in the top 3 for Nesta, which we haven't talked too much about. He's a good player, but you really missed out on some of the bigger recruits that at one point you let in or were in a big conversation for.
I also think the good news for OU. Sorry, Brum. We're not letting Brum talk at all. I'm trying this live stream host, I guess. But the good thing for OU coming up is our OV weekends are on the horizon. You know, we've got a big one this weekend, and then we've got obviously the biggest recruiting spectacle we have all year, the following weekend. So like we haven't yet had our big hoorah recruiting stuff yet, and that's on the horizon. So I think. Eventually, we are going to start landing recruits, and we are going to be excited and happy again. It's just a slow start to the summer.
It is a slow start, and I think part of the reason why this is so amplified is just that it is slow. Because when you look at the past few months, you brought up Peyton Pierce, where you felt like Oklahoma was the leader, connections to Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma, and everything with his family. And then you go on to lose Xavier Sims, who's literally like an hour to hour and a half south of Norman. Not that he was an actual Oklahoma kid, he's a transfer from Denison, Texas, but you felt like you were really in a good spot for him. And then you lose on a Bryant Wesco, who you felt like you were leading the entire time. And then you do lose out on Sammy Brown, which felt like more of a pipe dream. That one doesn't really surprise me, or I would imagine either one of you.
Oh, and we did predict him to come to our team as far as part of our.
Those were our first
class.
2 misses, I would like to say. So we're pretty good track record so far.
No, we missed on Sims too. We missed Sims, Wesco, and Brown.
No, we didn't have Sims on this list.
Are you sure?
David Stone. Look, I have it right here.
Okay.
Focus.
Well,
I swear we had.
Here, I'll read it. David Stone, Nigel Smith, Williams Winery, and Joseph Jonah Ajone. We're still very much alive in this one.
But so whenever you're not landing recruits and all you see are guys that you felt like we're going to be a part of this class eventually leave or had a really good shot, it hurts. And Jose, you were talking about Joseph Jonah Ajone. Steve Wiltfong crystal-balled him to Georgia. He went on an unofficial. He's slated to go the week after to Georgia for an official, or the week after of Oklahoma. So he's going June 23rd for an official to Georgia. This being in Georgia for an unofficial, then going back in 3 weeks or whatever to go for an official, it doesn't look great. So
boys, it sounds like we got to have him back on the show and see what we can do here. Maybe it's time if the Sooner coaching staff isn't going to push like we want, it's time for us to take this into our own hands, start emailing all of these prospects again, Twitter DMing them, whatever, getting them back on the program, and changing their minds. It's on us now.
The X factor to playing sports.
Yeah, definitely the X factor. But so, what happens if Oklahoma misses out on him? Man, that really hurts. But
I'm not going to be really hurt unless we miss out on Stone.
Yeah, but that's 2 defensive linemen that we felt like we had a pretty good shot at. Now, on the other side, when you look at the positives, like David Stone and Williams Winery, and you land those guys, everyone else is kind of an afterthought. And you're right, Brandon. I mean, the thing is, the biggest recruiting weekends are still on the horizon. I mean, you got this upcoming weekend. It's kind of turned into a pretty solid recruiting weekend where I didn't really think it was going to be a whole lot. But now that there's going to be considerable talent, then you have your big recruiting weekend on the 16th, and then you've got the party in the Palace in July. So I still feel like Oklahoma is going to explode like they did last year.
See, now we got it. It's on us now.
Yeah, I agree.
Gift cards for the win.
Brahms gift cards. Yeah,
and Eric Bassam just commented that Danny Okoye is still very much in play. So there is positives there where you lose out on Sims, but you can bring in Danny Okoye. So, I mean, there is positives in this. It's tough.
Did you ever watch the Okoye interview you had on the show, Bram? I know you were doing your work thing.
to be completely honest, I did not.
See, Brum's not even a real fan of the show either. So that I think is a huge problem for the direction of our program. Is one of our hosts
Whatever.
isn't even a fan of the show. But if you ever decide to go back and watch it, that kid's there's something about him, man. I don't know. Just talking with him for a little bit, kind of just his demeanor, his attitude, and then you watch what he's doing at Noah. He's going to be special. I think if you win the Oklahoma kids, and I'm counting David Stone as an Oklahoma kid. I know he's goes to IMG or whatever, but I'm counting him as an Oklahoma kid. So if you win the Oklahoma kids in Stone and Okoye, and then you pick up one of Nigel Smith or Williams Waneri, all of this panic, if you will, that we have right now, or this unrest, is literally going to go away so fast. And that another thing I think is something that bodes well for Oklahoma. Is as slow as it feels right now, or as shitty as it feels right now, people, including us, are literally all going to forget about it if you can land 3 of these kids that you still sit in a pretty good spot with. It's the world of recruiting is it's the wild, wild west.
It is crazy, but you also, I mean, it just makes every recruit that much more important for this. The further we get into, the summer. Like, yeah, you just missed out on Sammy Brown, but now it makes every linebacker recruit that they're going after that much more important, because you can't have more misses, right? You missed out on Sims. That makes Okoye that much more important. You might miss out on a Jonah. It makes Williams Waneri that much more important. And it makes them more can't miss, right? But I mean, I agree. The one where you can, I think, as fans, you can really say maybe these aren't the right guys for the recruiting with their recruiting philosophy, or they need to make a huge shift, is David Stone. You can't lose him. Like, that's a straight up. If you lose him, you are doing something completely wrong, because he's basically given to you on a silver platter. One of the best defensive linemen in the class, from the state, grew up a fan, always on campus. Like, no reason to lose him. I would have said Mike Hawkins, but currently they have him. I guess that could change. But the other one, and Lloyd just mentioned him, is Devon Mitchell. It seems like that guy is just as bought into to the program as David Stone was at one point, or maybe still is. If you miss out on both of those guys, there's something very wrong with their recruiting philosophy, because those are guys that it's just a matter of accepting their commitment, seemingly, not how will you get them to be a Sooner.
It is, and the fact that he's committing on the 8th, that's good news, I would think, for Oklahoma, I would hope. So with all this negative talk, let's think about where Oklahoma is at as far as the wide receiver recruiting, and where they're eventually going to go. So, when you look at Oklahoma in the wide receiver room, you've got a 4-star, a top 15, number 13 wide receiver in the class in Zion Kearney, talented player out of Missouri City, Texas. And you got KJ Daniels, 3-star, more of the burner. You look around, someone that I felt like was probably not going to be a part of this class because of numbers, but in trending, I would love to see Oklahoma push for Isaiah McMorris. Do you guys remember talking about McMorris out of Bellevue, Nebraska? I mean, you want to talk about some serious stats. I believe he ended up putting together over 1,000 yards last year. Extremely talented. Another one I think we've talked about is Zion Raggins. So those two guys right there are both or I guess it depends on where you look, but McMorris is a 3 and Zion's a 4-star. They're still talented, and they're still going to be probably very productive players at the next level. Oklahoma adds one of them. I think Oklahoma might add a 4th, just because we've talked about, with the loss of Keon Brown to community college, they've got an open spot. And Emmett Jones is recruiting well. That 2025 class, who was it? Was it Adrian Wilson got a crystal ball in favor of Oklahoma? That's a talented 4-star in the 25 class. I don't think there's any concern with the wide receiver recruiting. I mean,
didn't he already pick up a receiver in the 25 class too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I making actually that? Yes. Okay. Baseball player too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't really see yeah, you would love to have the 5-star, but it's not the end of the world.
5 stars are more for like the fact that someone's a 5 star, and a recruiting class is more for like ranking in to show that you can take top talent according to people that have no idea, potentially have no idea how to really evaluate talent. Because from my understanding, most of these guys weren't scouts at the collegiate level or at the professional level. They're basically the three of us with actual jobs that say that they can do it. So, I mean, no disrespect to them. I don't mean it in a mean way, but I don't think they were scouts for football teams at any point in their lives. And I could be wrong about some of them, but pretty sure most of them aren't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but I still don't know if we can just say that the three people like us. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I don't think you're entirely wrong with that sentiment. But like when you look at the percentages of 5-star athletes who still pan out and have successful college careers, I don't think that's the only thing that makes me think maybe they know what they're talking about a little bit with these stars that they hand out. Because if they were throwing out 5 stars left and right and half of them sucked, then yeah. But I mean, I feel like for the most part, these 5 stars do pan out. So I feel like maybe they're onto something a little bit.
yeah, I mean, fair. Sometimes it is just this guy is just a better human being than like physically and just physically imposing than everyone else. Like how hard was it to say David Hicks was a 5 star? Dude is one of the
No, I
best
mean,
defensive
yeah,
men
I feel
in the
you.
country, And again, it's not like I'm not saying this to be a dickhead to him. Just seems like a fair assessment of the situation. And Bagman keeps complaining about how Oklahoma keeps getting beat as if they have zero recruits. They do have some recruits. They're not 5 stars, but James People was not a guy that Oklahoma had to lead on, right? Peyton Pierce, I'll agree. Definitely one that was a big loss. And Sims, from what's been reported about the situation, not really something that Oklahoma could have expected with what was happening. And I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but it really sounds like that Sims situation was an anomaly where probably not going to revisit that well anytime soon. But you lose. You lose sometimes, but you're also going to win. Like Zion Kearney, very talented wide receiver. Jane Hardy, very talented defensive back. And you're still in good position for other 5-star, 4-star players. Like you're in position to get really talented players. You just got to close, which is what we're talking about now. When are they going to close, and will it be anytime soon?
It's a matter of time. I'm still riding that all the way. It's a matter of time. Also, did you guys see what Eric commented? He's with us on the we need to take recruiting matters into our own hands. He wants us to get James Peoples on the show. And I agree with what he said. I think James People is the best back in the class. I don't think that we're going to be able to get him on the show at this point in time, though.
What if we pretend to be an Ohio State podcast? He gets on and we're like, hey, let's talk
Ohio
about your
State.
recruitment with Oklahoma.
So Ohio State actually sucks, we just realized. But have you considered your Oklahoma visits? Maybe you go back and revisit that.
Take your approach and say, let me show you this clip from when the last time Oklahoma visited Ohio State.
I'm telling, like, I would legitimately do that shit if I was hosting these kids on visits. Like, it can't hurt you. I feel like it can't hurt you. Like, I mean, if a kid is seriously considering Ohio State and you show them a video of Baker Mayfield planting a flag on the O, that's not going to hurt your chances, I don't think. And they're going to be like, damn, y'all really did this to them? Be like, yeah, it's what we do. Don't go there.
Yeah, recruiting philosophies. We definitely need to be on the staff. They need to reach out to us. We'll see what Brett Venables has to say about that. So, another one. I saw another comment. Yes, the Texas Tech wide receiver who's committed to them, Ivan Carreran. Seems like Oklahoma's at least recruiting him. Obviously, with Emmett Jones coming from Texas Tech, there are some ties there. At 6'6", would provide some great size. So I don't really think Oklahoma's going to have a problem getting a third wide receiver or even a fourth wide receiver in this class. And so I'm not really losing sleep. Don't get me wrong. I definitely wish Wesco was a part of this class. I'm not going to act like it isn't a loss, because it is. So, but anyway.
This is true. This is pretty true.
Yeah, definitely.
Although we know a guy that we went to college with who chose living in Cleveland or Columbus, Ohio, over living in, was it Tampa Bay or something?
Tampa.
Yeah, I'm not saying Tampa Bay is like the most ideal place in the world either, but like if you're a 25 or 26-year-old kid when the time he moved, well, I don't know why you would go pick Ohio over Florida, but I don't know. He doesn't even play football. He chose to do that in the regular world.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so let's move on. It's not a total loss. I mean, Oklahoma's going to be fine. It is what it is. It does feel like it's just like one loss after another. But this upcoming weekend, there are some good recruits coming in June 16th. How many recruits do you think will commit after June 16th? Well, here's the question. What's the timeline?
Yeah, how quickly after is I was going to bring up the same thing.
Yeah, like, is it a week? Within the week of, after them flying home?
Do you guys think we get any the same day or the next day?
Publicly, maybe one the next day. I would say like the timeline in my head is that and Party in the Palace. How many do we get in a 1 month period? Because you would assume that the OB would put you in the lead and it's a matter of closing. And that's what the summer is supposed to be for, right? Like this is the way the staff recruited last summer. This is where you're building the majority of the class. You expect to go into the football season with like 20 plus kids and really just closing out a couple of recruitments to finish out with whatever 24 I think is what's supposed to be taken in this class. So
yeah,
you gotta assume you get like 16.
Yeah, I mean Oklahoma right now currently has 6 commits in this class. I would think that they would probably within 1 month, like you said, I would think that they would be at a total of probably 20. They'll probably take like 14 commits. I bet they'll be right around 20 within the next month or so. Or I guess if we're talking from now, probably within the next 6 weeks. That's what I'd say. Probably in the next 6 weeks, they'll probably have another 14 commits. That's what I'm thinking. Now, naming them all, that would take me a little bit off the top of my head. But I just feel like Oklahoma's just going to roll through this month, through these next month and a half. I think we're all going to forget about this.
No, we are. It's a matter of time. I feel we literally had the same discussions last year where we were starting to panic and can't do this, can't do that, and then we finished with a top 5 class.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about someone that could commit the day after that wouldn't be surprised? I'm trying to remember if
David
he's coming.
Stone? I was going to say, David Stone, right?
That seems like the most, to me, that seems the most logical because he's supposed to be there this weekend for the Williams-Nwaneri recruitment and next weekend for an official visit of his own.
I agree with
planned for him still.
Yeah, it's almost as if he's recruiting Nwaneri this weekend, like on the woman's behalf, and then coming back next week too. I don't know. Yeah. David Stoney could be a guy that's already committed, and we just don't know about it yet.
Yeah. Well, Baby Ben just commented on it. I know that Easton Baker's scheduled to announce July 1st, but I feel like Baker is someone that could commit silently while he's on his official at Oklahoma. So that's someone I feel like would be a part of this class. You would have David Stone. That makes 2. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Easton Baker was someone that just came off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of who I could see committing really quickly.
Michael Patterson McDonald.
Michael Patterson McDonald's going to come in whenever David Stone commits. They're probably already locked in.
Yeah. Really, and another position that I think we need to talk about is the running back room.
I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah, you want to lead off with the running back room?
But the Stacey Gage post tonight that we shared on our Twitter, if you haven't seen it yet, he just posted a picture in all OU stuff, and it's a good looking picture. I think everybody looks good in the crimson and cream though. But Hose, didn't you were saying that he picked up an on-3 prediction or whatever today to go to Central Florida. which obviously, if you're a Central Florida fan, you like to see that because Stacey Gage is a hell of a ball player. But if you're a Central Florida fan, you also don't love. I mean, I wouldn't love to see that tweet is like it's probably no less than an hour old at this point, and I mean it's just a basic hashtag Boomer Sooner. And that's a kid that I feel like we had to lead. Way back when we thought it was going to be a thing, and then it seemed to shift away from us. And now I wonder if Stacey Gage is starting to shift back our direction, despite him picking up an on-3 prediction today for Central Florida.
There's something that tells me I just don't feel like Gage is going to be a part of this class. There's just some gut feeling that I have, and I know he's posting, a picture with Oklahoma. It just almost seemed like the staff they just kind of went their different directions. I don't know. It's an odd recruitment for a guy that is originally from Oklahoma. It just seems odd. Also, a recruitment that I think is interesting is the Caden Durham recruitment. There's conflicting reports of is it LSU? Is it Oklahoma? And they're really, he's keeping it close to his vest, close to his chest. I don't know. I kind of wonder if Caden Durham is, at the end of the day, a part of this class.
What about Taylor Tatum?
I would like to think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Someone that we don't really ever talk about, and I agree, who just popped up on the screen. Be sure to like the video and share it so we can not go over 100. I think we're at 97. Tatum is extremely talented, but someone that we don't talk about, and Lloyd took the name right out of my mouth, is Jeremy Payne. I feel like no one has been talking about him, but he's extremely talented as well. And he's, if I remember correctly, he's from Missouri City, Texas, and he, I believe, plays with Zion Kearney they're both at High Tech, so they're teammates. So
it sounds like we need to put together a show with Zion Kearney and Jeremy Payne at the same time,
and then we can all corner Jeremy Payne, because Zion's a commit, and we tell him, this is why you need to go play for Oklahoma. I think if I were to pick who's going to be in this class, I think Jeremy Payne is one of them for the running back room. And something about, I just think Caden Durham is a part of this class. I just think they take two, and I think somehow, well, I guess they don't probably take two. It's who's the local kid as well?
Robinson.
Robinson.
Yeah, Xavier Robinson. Yeah.
Robinson. I mean,
I don't think
I feel like
this class.
You don't think so?
Nah, it just doesn't seem. He's postponed his commitment last time, and it seemed like it was going to be Oklahoma. And I can't remember. I think I saw somewhere he was trending somewhere else, but I can't remember what. It wasn't OU. I mean, I guess they could come in and take three. It just doesn't make too much sense with the running back talent they do have. There's plenty of that. There's plenty of good running backs at Oklahoma right now with DeMarco being their coach and everything. Doesn't seem like a hard sell, but some guys just don't want to be coached by one of the best.
Well, and also, you're right. I'm getting on to his 247 page. I mean, he's got an official visit lined up to Iowa State this weekend. Just went to he's going to Notre Dame tomorrow, then to Iowa State, then he's got an Oklahoma State official visit according to 247, but he doesn't have an official lineup to Oklahoma. So it makes you wonder, maybe you're right. Maybe he isn't a part of this class. And yeah, Tatum, Cristobal's favoring him to USC. So I don't think Tatum's a part of this class. I think it's Payne, and I think Oklahoma can win out on Caden Durham. It's just the fact that Colin Simmons is an X factor in his recruitment. And if he does go to LSU, do they go as a pair? And it doesn't seem like Colin Simmons, Oklahoma's really in the running for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. The Taylor Tatum one was a little bit surprising. Figured Oklahoma would have a better shot this summer with him. But, I mean, I guess Lincoln Riley and and that staff were recruiting him when they were at Oklahoma, so it makes some sense. Just like this staff recruiting Florida pretty well, makes sense. They were closer to that area, but yeah, you gotta hope maybe they can turn something around there. He hasn't committed, so you got a shot. But yeah, I would agree. Jeremy Payton, Caden seem like the two most likely at this time. But I think Jeremy, his recruitment isn't like very public, but he also had baseball for most of the spring, so I don't think they were taking too many visits during the school year, and it's about to ramp up pretty big for him.
Yeah. So, I mean, this weekend, though, is we've got some extremely talented people coming in and players to play. We already kind of talked about, I mean, Eli Bowen's coming on campus. Could he be one of those guys that commits quickly after?
You gotta like your chances there, right? Am I crazy for that?
I would like
you
your
gotta
chances.
like your chances with Eli Bowen.
I would. So, I mean, but the biggest one of all is Williams Winery as far as on this list. Coming in on June 9th, I believe the 16th is Tennessee. And then he's just coming off Georgia. I don't have the list pulled up in front of me, but Missouri, and then Missouri's the weekend after Tennessee, the 23rd, and then Oregon's like September 23rd or something like that. I don't think that Oregon visit happens. But I think Williams Winery could be a part of this class come by around the 4th of July. What do you guys think? Do you think he's a part of this class? I've been nervous about him, but I feel like Oklahoma can win out. What do you think?
So here's the dream scenario with Williams Winery, in my mind at least. I hope we're right in our very not super accurate fake make-believe world where we have an idea where Stone is committed. We're
so far pretty accurate.
Yeah, where we so in our hypothetical scenario that we talked about a little earlier, David Stone is already committed to Oklahoma. He just hasn't made it official yet. He's committed. So he's going to go this weekend and sell Winery on Oklahoma as well, and then you land both of them. Because every time we talk about Williams Winery, we seem to think that it's between OU and Tennessee, correct? And I don't believe that Stone is at all involved with Tennessee. So Stone's recruiting Winery to Oklahoma this weekend. And I do think that we get them both. I really do. I don't know about all the other stuff where Stone's already committed and stuff, but for some reason I feel like we get both Stone and Winery.
That would be the ideal situation, but it's going to sound like a dick thing to say. Can the staff close it that early? Will they be like, hey, don't take that Oregon visit. Like, let's get this wrapped up. I guess at some point it's like a balancing act. You don't want to be too pushy, but you gotta. And I was assume they know how to push the right buttons to get these guys to commit. Let's say right after this visit. I would assume he at least takes the Tennessee visit before making any sort of decision here. But Williams Winery, ideally, does commit before leaving Norman.
It's unfortunate
Sunday,
that Tennessee
right?
gets him after we get him.
Well, and it's unfortunate because Oklahoma wanted him on the Champion Barbecue weekend, and he picked Tennessee. Do you want to read into that a whole lot? I don't know. I don't think it's the end of the world, but obviously it's less than ideal when it comes to that. Another 5-star that's going to be on campus that was predicted to be a part of this historic class is Kobe Black. Another 5-star defensive back coming up for an official. He announced on his Twitter in the last week or so. Where are Oklahoma's chances really at? And we're gonna know by after this weekend. My gut tells me it's going to be hard for Oklahoma to win out with Kobe Black. They've gotten a 5-star defensive back last recruiting class. Can they do it again? I'm not sure if they can. And I don't know if Kobe Black is a part of this class, but he could be. So you got David Stone, Williams Winery, and Kobe Black all on campus. He could be, but
first of all, I don't think Oklahoma can land another 5-star. I don't think he's a part of this class, but I'm telling you, there's a chance.
Yeah, there could be, but I mean, there's 3 5-stars on campus this weekend, at least that are known. Brandon, what do you think the odds of Kobe Black are?
I mean, I don't necessarily think they're fantastic either, but I generally just choose to be positive about most of these recruits, most of this kind of stuff that we talk about on the show here. I mean, the fact that he's showing up and coming here for an OV, it says something. The interest is not, it's not none, it's not zero. Hopefully that, hopefully has an amazing visit. Hopefully Jay Valai is doing his darndest. Hopefully Brandon Hall's doing his darndest. Whoever is there on the recruiting trail for him, I would pair him up with guys like with Peyton Bowen and Eli Bowen. Have him run around with them this weekend. Have him run around with Reggie Pearson. You just run around with some of those guys that we think are going to be players in the secondary, and hope for the best. I mean, I definitely agree with you. I don't think it's I think Oklahoma leads. I would be kind of surprised if he did pick Oklahoma, but the fact that he's coming this weekend for an OV it does say something. The interest is not zero. Again, it's he at least has some legitimate interest in the program.
Sorry, I'm not going to even pretend like I know what the hell we're talking about. I definitely got sucked into my phone trying to look something up. Who are we talking about again?
Kobe Black.
Oh, Kobe Black. I would like to say there's a good chance. I do. Jay Valai, Brandon Hall are guys that you can't count out. And we have beaten Texas for a very talented defensive back before, if we do recall. So there's a chance. It just seems like a long shot at this exact moment. But the Texas, I guess, hype or the lean has come pretty recently. Like, up until about a month ago, no one really knew what direction Kobe Black was leaning. And then Texas really started getting this push. I mean, who's to say that Oklahoma, after this visit, can't do it?
Right? Who's the recruit that Texas got a year ago that wanted to be a Sooner at first? I don't know if you ever pulled their offer or whatever.
Jonte Cook.
Yes, I was going to say, for Kobe Black's visit with Texas, if he does take an OV, which I'm sure he's going to or has already, I talked about for OU, I hope he's hanging out with guys like Peyton Bowen and, some of those dudes. I hope Jonte Cook is the one taking him around for Texas visit, and he can show him all those swimming trophies that he was very happy to tweet about at one point in his life. And then, things changed a little bit. But, I mean, he could definitely show him some swimming trophies, and I hope he does.
Some swimming trophies.
That's what he said, right? That was his thing?
Yeah, it was like a whole bunch of swimming trophies because I think he went to Alabama like a week before or a week after, like talking about how many SEC championships they had and their national championship trophies. Yeah,
he said it's all
shit on Texas for the swim trophies. But
yeah,
what can you do?
And then someone commented a little bit earlier. What about McKinley? I mean, McKinley's coming on campus for an official on June 16th, and that will be accompanied with David Stone officially. So there's going to be a total of 3 5-stars on campus officially within a 2-week period. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, Zion.
I was saying the same thing.
No, I don't recall it that way. We have to go back to it.
Is just it's crazy. It's crazy.
I was saying that Zion Kearney is that guy, and you guys are like, "No, Wesco's pretty good. He's a little bit better." And I was like, "I disagree, but whatever."
So, but anyway, so how about we take the next 10 minutes or so? Let's just take some questions and see what people have to say and like I said earlier when we first started this stream, we're going to start doing this regularly. Every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central, we're going to be going live from here on out to get some consistency as far as our live streams rather than just being random like we just did tonight. So go ahead and start planning on that 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. That way we can just have more of a conversation and interact with you all on this. So
we need to get players on for live streams. We've never done that before. We've done live streams, obviously, with guys like Brandon Drum and Parker Thune and Travis and JP. And we've had some fun live stream guests, but we've never had, or technically we have, but we were not the ones who initiated that or whatever.
TPS.
Yeah, and it was not exactly. We need to get some kids on, even some current players for a live show. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Connor, JP and Trav do Thursday nights, I believe, and then Parker and Drum do Wednesday nights. So we wanted to pick a night that was different, so you could have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for that.
Here's a question. You
Yes.
happy about switching conferences? I'm assuming Joe might not be the most excited about it if this is his question, because it seems like most fans are excited about going to the SEC.
100%. Definitely extremely excited for that. And I think it's going to be the best thing for OU's athletics for the next 20
Look no further
years.
than some of the prospects we've had on this show. I mean, some, granted, have said it's not something that factored into their decision or whatever, but I would say at least 50% of the kids that we get on this show to talk about their whole process, half of them say that they're excited to play in the SEC or wherever it might be, and it's only going to help.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yes.
Jonathan, you're the man. Yeah, we still might be screwing that up, but we try.
Maybe we'll get Williams on, and he can correct us. He can
That's
correct
true.
us all.
That's true.
Our guy Jimmy here. I'm assuming I'm gonna finish the sentence for him. Where will OU finish in recruiting?
Yes.
It's going to be a top 10 class.
I agree. I think it's a top 10 class. I think Oklahoma's in that 7 to 10 range. The thing is, you think about it, they land a David Stone and a Williams Winery, and you throw in a Danny Okoye and a few others. I mean, Oklahoma and Devon Mitchell, if he reclassifies, Oklahoma could very well easily be a top 10 class. I think
Still
it's
want
7
that.
to 10.
Still want that reclass. No, I agree. I think 4 to 5 at best, 10 at worst. Did you see that some kid named Josiah Brunson is a hard lean towards OU, bro?
I did.
Yeah, definitely. And Jerry said he'll leak your address. So, anyway. Let's see. Any other questions as people?
Oops, sorry. Not worried about recruiting, but curious what we have cooking in the near future.
Like
I don't know. I was actually just thinking about making some sandwiches for the rest of the week because my wife is gone. But I don't know.
Living the bachelor
life this few weeks or the next few days. I'm honestly not sure what Aaron's referring to, but if he's talking about food, that is my plan.
I think he's talking about food. He's talking about we have a softball championship cooking.
Yeah, diamond school for sure. On this,
who's our dark here? Here's I think this is a fun one. Who's our dark horse for next season?
And he just followed it up on the OU roster. So he's talking about a dark horse as far as a player on the roster. Oh, dark horse on the roster. Here we go. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I feel like it could be someone in the wide receiver room that would emerge, right? I mean, when you look at it, you've got Jalil Farouk and Drake Stoops. It's who is that third person? Who is that? Who takes that next step? I personally want to think that, like a maybe LV Bunkley Shelton could start to, contribute a little bit more. Could oh gosh, who I'm blanking, the 6'5" receiver that everyone was giving a hard time about dropping passes.
Gibson.
Yeah, Jaden Gibson. You would think that Jaden Gibson could emerge. I feel like it's going to be the third wide receiver, and if I were to probably pick one, I think that it could very well be Jaden Gibson that bounces back, or is it a DJ Graham? DJ Graham might emerge as well.
No, I'm going to stick with
I think DJ
too.
Graham.
I think all these answers are what we're wanting to see in the live chat here, but I'm going with Jaquez Petaway. We've talked about Petaway a lot. I think Petaway is that guy. I wish he would have early enrolled. He's wanted to finish high school career. Can't blame him. He had pram and all sorts of fun stuff to get to, I'm sure. But I think Jaquez Petaway has a legitimate chance to be a dark horse. And a lot of people are saying in that comment section too.
Robert Spears Jennings is a hell of a prediction given the safety situation where you've got Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen, Reggie Pearson. Like it'd be, if he cracks into there, Key Lawrence, if he gets in there and takes time from any of those guys, what a prediction.
I'd love for it to be Jaden Rowe.
I feel like DJ Graham, he's been on campus, been on the roster for a while. I know that he hasn't been playing wide receiver this entire time, but I just feel like he knows what it takes and he can take that next step. And I hope Petaway emerges. But I just know that making that step from high school football to playing, as a Division I, in a Power 5 conference at an Oklahoma, it's hard to take that next step. And I think DJ Graham could be primed to be that guy. Jose, who's your dark horse?
I was going to say DJ Graham, but for any positions that it would be true freshmen playing, it would be wide receiver or running back. I think the rest of the positions you got to develop physically to get on the field. Most kids aren't physically developed enough, or you really got to dive into that playbook and get in there hard to be able to play year one. And most kids don't have the time since they're also students. They have to go play school as well sometimes.
What about a PJ Adebore?
That one's tough again because of the transfer portal situation. Like, are you gonna invest that much into these transfer portal kids to then play a guy that you had in your back pocket the entire time? I don't think it's crazy. It just doesn't seem like it's possible, especially given last year. We would have all expected Jaron Kanik to be out there after some poor performances, or at least be in there more rotationally. Dude barely played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's my time, boys.
Yeah. So, but let's do any last, maybe two more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Be sure to like the video, and we're going to start doing this regularly. So be sure to share this, and we'll keep it rolling. So let's see. Do we have one more question, Jose?
I'm sure I can find one.
There's one about Jacoby Johnson.
Is it a question or is that the dark horse?
No, there's no question. Is Jacoby Johnson playing offense or defense, in what position?
No.
I hope he plays receiver, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's the best at receiver out of the two positions he plays. But that's not to say he's a slouch as a corner, but I think he's a really good wide receiver.
I think with the depth, again, if DJ Graham doesn't emerge, I think Jacoby Johnson could get a run in that position. I feel like he most likely would start off as a wide receiver. I agree with you, Brandon.
Does Peyton Bowen start? Is another one. No.
Nah.
No.
He will play a shit ton, though. I think.
I'd be interested to see him play as a returner, because dude was electric in high school as a punt returner.
He's gonna earn him some time somewhere. Probably start as a returner, but I think he's too good to not even earn playing time at safety.
That's fair.
A little bit.
Yeah. And we got another one. Who are the two starting corners? I think it's Woody Washington, and I think Kendall Dobie starts.
I agree with Woody. I don't know the other one. That one's tough.
Good pick.
I don't know. You go first.
I'm going to go Woody and Gentry, assuming that he's able to recover fully. But
That's the thing that I'm worried about with Gentry. Yeah, I think if Gentry would have had the whole, I mean, he still has the whole summer and stuff, assuming everything goes to plan. But it's a scary thing he's dealing with.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So,
Oh, looking on W2, I guess. I'll just lock in Brums.
yeah.
Real
All right.
original, Brandon. Real original.
That's what it is. Sometimes Brum says some stuff that I agree with.
Just sometimes. Just sometimes. So, do Barnes and Sawchuk both go over 1,000?
God,
All purpose?
if they both go for 1,000, boys, that is a 11-1, 12-0 season. Book it. If both of those guys are over 1,000 yards rushing, that team is going to be 11-1 or 12-0. That is going to be a huge recipe for success.
I don't think that's crazy. I really don't, because that means Oklahoma.
That's the dumbest shit. I hate that. See,
Oklahoma also probably kept the ball a lot longer than they did last season, which was a big problem.
Yeah.
Heat, I just couldn't disagree more. Heat and 6.
I agree. Nugs and 5. All right. So, well, anyway, I feel like this is a pretty good spot to wrap this up and finish it up. But be sure to like and subscribe, and then see us here next week, Tuesday at 8. We're going to start doing this regularly.
Yeah, cancel all of your Tuesday plans for the rest of your foreseeable future.
Yes, I agree. So, all right. Unless you guys have anything else, I think this is a good spot to wrap it up.
See you
Thanks for
later.
tuning in.